Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode from TCG 353. My name is Jamie. Today we're playing a Black Yellow teach list that is one of the best lists on the sim at the moment. It uses both Boa Hancock and Forecast Burgess, which is very unique. I said I'd bring this deck to you. If you like this content, do leave a like, and if you want to subscribe, feel free to do so. Let's talk about this first game up against a very good deck, as always, Blue Yellow Nami. We mulligan pretty much all the time for Full Lead. It is one of the better cards in this deck, especially this iteration, because we use Burgess. Here you see Boa Hancock actually get triggered out to full effect as well, which is very good for us. We're able to go super aggressive into our opponent now by swinging 2 7s. And that's exactly what we do. Our opponent triggers out a Hogback, which is fine. We'll trash a Vasco shot just to get that set up in life and search out a yellow event. I had to record this video again, and I learned from the first time recording that saying ja ha ha every time is a bit of an effort, so we won't be doing that this time. Our opponent gets 2 life off us there, which is actually very good for them, very bad for us, I guess. But if you know anything about Blackbeard, it's that it is a late game monster. Also, what you have to consider is we have a San Juan in life as well. So we're happy enough to swing the 5 into the Hogback because they had nothing in life to protect or to spawn back out. However, they did trash Perona just so they could play that back out. So well played by our opponent. We don't swing with our leader because we can't, and we actually go for a risky play there in that we use the Burgess rather than the Borsellino. The Borsellino would have healed us one and gave us a blocker, but getting the Burgess down was more aggressive, and we are very fortunate there that our opponent actually doesn't go all in, because I think if they did, they would have had the game. So that's good. That's a good thing. Apologies as well for the audio in the past 2 videos. I've been trying out my headset thinking that would be better, and in the test it was fine, but since listening to it afterwards, it's really crackly and it's a shame. It seems like a waste of a video. So this is being re-recorded because of that reason. Hope you guys appreciate it and enjoy this video. Our opponent has 8 on. They've swung 5 at us. They're going to swing 6 and they're going to swing another 6. The 8 cost is either going to be a Gecko or it's going to be a Teach. We get the trigger from Teach off life. And here this was a sequencing error, definitely. We should have taken the Nami swing and then triggered out the Teach so that we could have KO'd that Nami. That was just my bad. Yeah, just a bit of an error there. We did get the Nami gone, so it is still gone from the board, but we could have negated 1 effective swing and kept a 2k in hand if we had been better with that. Here we use yellow event to trigger out the Teach blocker, and you'll see a slight misplay here again, which is frustrating because what we do is we swing 5 into our opponent's, or we swing 7 into our opponent's leader without using the Teach ability first. And I thought you could use it retrospectively, and that they wouldn't be able to take, or that they'd go back down to 5,000, but they're already 7,000 power, so it doesn't work that way. So just for you guys to know, which I'm sure you already do, to be honest, is you want to be using Teach as immediately when you pull it down, especially when you're coming up against Nami. Now here we have a very, very strong board, and we have very lucky to have pulled into another Borsellino from top deck. Here we are just poking at the start to see what we can get off them. If they give us counter for this, I don't think we really have lethal. They give us the block. It's either play 2 Borsas or play 1 Borsa and swing bigger. I think playing 2 Borsas is probably the best move. We're just going to use the Teach to swing because with all we have, we'll have 2 blockers, 2 life and a redirect. And that is enough to be able to protect ourselves 100%, because they only have 4 swings really, and we have 4 blockers conventionally, and we have leader ability once we pull into something from life. Worst case scenario is that we pull into no trigger cards from life. It's very unlikely, but it is a possibility, so let's see what happens here. Our opponent chooses to swing into the Burgess first, which is interesting. We'll definitely give them a block for that. As I said, we are very safe at the moment. If they want to turn their Newgate sideways to swing into something, we can redirect it into another card, but also if they do that, they'll probably lose. If they want to commit all their Don to be aggressive into our characters as well, they can also do that, but we pretty much we'd be able to save one at least pretty consistently. Our opponent uses a Burgess here now, or a Teach even. We are incentivized to take that last swing, and I'm very, very glad we did, because we get a Blackbeard from the bottom of life, which is just ridiculously lucky. So maybe we got lucky twice in this game, probably definitely. We'll swing 5 at their leader, we'll swing 6 at their leader, we'll swing 10. We'll see what happens here. They take, we'll swing 10. They take, and in all fairness, there is still a bit of a chance they could counter out of this. They definitely could, or they'd have a much higher possibility of countering out if they had 2Ks, or if they were a 7K leader. No, they wouldn't have been able to, but they would have countered out at the 10, I guess. So our opponent didn't have great luck in life, I don't think. That's what they said there. But we did. So good game to them. Let's go into this Boa Hancock game now. Boa is coming back into the meta because of Teach, and because it has 2 new Amazon Pirates, Kuja Pirates, Amazon Lily character cards that are both blockers, and they can be triggered out from life. Now, those being blockers and being triggered out from life means that Boa can now be aggressive into your opponent's life by burning their life without even having to swing, which is really cool, and a very good way for this deck to be aggressive. Here we are considering to swing. They've set a life, and I just don't like doing that. Also, Teach is such a late game oriented card that I'm okay with starving them out for a while. Here our opponent plays down a Zoro. Trash is one of those new cards from OP16 that I mentioned just there, in order to set a life, and they set a life up top, and so we swing into them now because it's not the life that they had set with that character, the old woman Lily. So the card that they have on top of life now is a card that they had chose to be there. Here we take a 6, and we will give them 2k for the next 6. They'll heal again, and now same story as last time. The card they healed isn't the card that they chose to trigger. They trigger out an old woman who allows them to set another life, which is kind of mad. And here we go for a really aggressive double Burgess turn, and our trash has become huge, so we just played out for 8 on 2 9k bodies, which is incredible. And they can also act as blockers in a sense, because we can redirect into them now. We still have our Borsellino blocker up, by the way. We are on 10 Don now. We have 2 events in hand, and we have 2 10-cost teaches, which is like one of the best positions you can be in. Here we are happy to swing into our opponent's life now. The reason for that is because the effect is nullified, so they don't draw a card off their leader ability. They can only play a card out, which is still good value for them, but they don't get to draw a card, so it's good for us as well. We'll swing 5, we'll swing 10, we'll swing 11. And that 11 goes into the Kuma, just to get rid of that swinger off the board. That's the reason, really. You notice during that last turn, we triggered a Van Augur to -3k to one of their swingers, which helped us out a lot. Our opponent, we only have 1Ks in hand. Our opponent swings 6 initially. They make a mistake here. They don't use the Boa Hancock ability to give 1 Don to each character, and so we're able to protect ourselves quite effectively, which is great for us, I guess. It's just a tough break for our opponent. Here I think the right move is always going to be a cost into 10. However, we have 0 life now, so we want to go aggressive into our opponent's board. That's pretty much what we want to do. Just want to talk about the last turn as well. If they did attach a bunch of Don, we just would have had less cards in hand, and we would have given them the Borsellino blocker. but that's all. We would still be alive and we'd have 0 life again. So this turn would still be the same, we just have less cards in hand, probably just to shear you, if I'm being honest. Here we have 3 blockers up, and the reason we're doing that is because in case they have actually, you know what, we should have swung with the 1, 2, 3 black redirect. Kind of afraid of the unblockable event, I guess. An unblockable event we can redirect into. I'm not sure why we didn't swing there. We probably should have swung with the teach, just to get them down more. But if they triggered out a body, maybe it would have been scarier for us then afterwards. Here we're just going to pepper down 11, 11, 12. See what they do here. They use Slave Arrow to bounce a card back to hand. They trash a brick and give us a 1k. So we're going to go 12 again. In all fairness, we don't have very many good lines. They did trigger Shaku out from life, which I don't think is all that great an idea, to be honest, because that's a 2k counter. We'll swing. So if we play out the teach, we can swing 8 into their life. Yeah. Or if we play out the teach, we can swing 7 into their life. If we play out the Shiryu, we can swing 7 and 8 sort of thing. It's not looking like that actually. What we're going to do instead is put a teach to the top of life, play it over the Burgess, and we'll put a Vasco shot in life as well. So basically the idea behind the thought process here is that teach is in life, so if they swing with Shaku first, we can take a hit and then KO the Zoro. If they swing with Zoro first, we can redirect into Vasco and rest the Shaku. That's the logic, really. That is the logic. They'd have to have 2 of the unblockable events. Here we get extremely lucky because our opponent uses the Luffy Rush card, and we have a teach set up in life, so we're just going to KO that nice and easy. I think we had that win anyway, but in case we didn't, that's what we got. We'll swing 10 to finish, 12 to finish. Our opponent gets a trigger, doesn't do much. Their hand is totally bricked up. They did have one of the Perfume Femur events, only 1 in hand though, so the way our life was throughout, they weren't able to go for the finish with that, which was fortunate. We did play around that quite a lot because I know that Boa Hancock runs 2 of those copies now because the meta is kind of blocker heavy. Let's talk about this purple yellow rosy deck. I have a video made actually, shout out to Niels Grow because you were requesting it. I have a video made and it's a cool deck, cool version of the deck, definitely. There was never going to be a doubt that this deck was super strong, and that's not a reason I wasn't running it. It's just I thought that the content was already covered. Anyway, I'm yapping. Let's talk about what's happening on the board. We played out a Burgess. Our opponent is swinging 6 into us. We've already taken a life, and our opponent gave us counter for our first swing. Here they play out the Rosy Law. We'll swing 5 first, and they take the counter here. So what we're going to do now is leave the Burgess standing. There's no point in turning it sideways. They're just going to get a free block. If they did give us the block at the start, I would have thought about that a little bit more, but to be honest, I probably would have left the Burgess standing anyway. Here we have a Vasco shot on the board, which is really good into this purple yellow rosy because you can rest the Rosinante Law. There may have even been an argument to use that Rosy Law in the last turn. Here they get a beautiful 4-cost Law off, which what it does is trashes both our A-cost Blackbeard and 2k counter, which is fairly annoying. Here we swing 5, we swing 6, and we swing 8. Our opponent gives us the rosy block with a 1k then to finish. We play out the teach, and the teach sets a teach into life, and I won't spoil anything, but this next turn is really strong. Quite fortunate the way it's working. Okay, so they swing 8 into us. We will choose to redirect here, and we'll redirect into leader. We'll nullify the Trafalgar Law, and we will try and KO it as well. Our opponent chooses to protect, which is not the right move. But what's really cool about that right there is that we nullified that law. So now when it swings, it's not 6k, it's only a 3k body, which is very, very useful. Our opponent is probably incentivized to not swing with that law that they have in hand now. They are able to still get the value of the 3k, which is a bit of a shame. We could give them 2/2s, but I don't think it would be worth it really. Here what we do is use the 10 cost new gate, consider what we want to nullify, and we choose to go for the opponent's law. And here, rather than going into our opponent's board, we're just going to go into our opponent's life. I mean, they only have 4 swings, we have 3 life, we have decent counter, and we have a redirect, so we're good to survive next turn. We also do want to take hits. Oh, I hope that bird isn't ruining this video. Are you kidding me? You know, re-record this video for good audio quality and then you get a bird yapping. God. Here you got a 5 cost Borsellino. Our opponent is played down, so they heal the life. Now they have 1 life. They have Sakazuki that they swung, and we used the Vasco shot ability to rest the Rosy Law. So they do have a blocker still up. And here they use their leader ability to use a Rosy Law. We take the last hit, and the last hit pulls us into 10 cost Teach. When you're good, what can I say? And we'll freeze the Rosy Law and just start peppering them down really. We could go into board, but we don't. We choose not to because we just want to be aggressive into their life. Also they have 1 down up, so there is a chance that they have the 2 cost event that can pull a 2k, so it's basically like 4k counter in hand, and they were bluffing it, so they actually didn't, but they did have a lot of counter, and it's easier for them to counter onto big bodies than it is a small body, and all their bodies were like 8k. So swinging into the Rosy Law would have meant that they could have countered out easily. So not the move. The right move was going into life, as you saw there. Good game to our opponent. Oh, this T is hitting. Let's talk about Black Yamato now. This is a combo-oriented OP16 deck. Very incredibly strong, extremely fun to use, and it is slowly becoming solved. Oh, this bird, oh my god. Someone's going to have to call PETA, that's what I'm saying. If I get my hands on this bird. Where is it? This bird is just living rent free. There's not much happening in the game at the moment, so I can yap a little bit. Our opponent reveals a Kinemon, so I presume they're going to use that next turn. We get a 2k from life and don't trigger it. We have a 4 cost San Juan in life that we could use, and we probably will. Because it's nice to have a 4 cost on the board. We'll have an extra swing next turn, and we can become 7k leader if we so do choose. Becoming a 7k leader is good into them because on their next turn, for example, they can swing 5, 7 and 8, and we can get out of 2 of those swings with just 2 cards. That's just something to consider for later on. Our opponent trashes a Momonosuke, or draws a Momonosuke with their Kinemon and plays out a Nico Robin. And I think because they drew the Momonosuke, they didn't have an 8 cost to trash, so that Nico Robin was just a waste, but not too bad all the same. We are on 6 down now, so Shiryu is surely in the cards. We get very lucky there to pull a Shiryu into Shiryu, which is the optimal Shiryu play, in my opinion. Unless there's like something techie, but I mean the Vasco shot wasn't going to help much there because the Kinemon is 7 cost and all their Yamatos are going to be 8 cost. And that bird is talking. So now they have what looks like a 5, a 7 and an 8, and that would be the ideal way for them to swing definitely into our life. 5 first to get us to redirect, and a 7 to get a counter, and then an 8 which I've let in. You see how our opponent does it, and they make the respectfully absolute worst play possible. Our opponent swings 8 into our San Juan, making us a 7k leader without making us trash a card, and then swing 6 into us, choosing to keep it down up for an event. Which, you know, keeping down up for event, that's fair enough. But yeah, the 8 into San Juan was just not the move at all, really. Even 8 into life, we would have redirected, they would have got a card in hand, you know, that sort of thing. Just these slight efficiencies, I think, do make you a better player. So that's why I highlight these things. Here now, our opponent has used the 6-cost Yam to play out an 8-cost of Blackbeard Yam, which is actually fine with us because we can freeze it next turn with our 10-cost. They'll swing 8 into 8, and here we trash for counter, give them 2k counter on that. They'll go 8 into 8 here, and we'll redirect. We use the bow with the redirect there, and we get very lucky off the life. We get a yellow event, so we can play out the teach now for pretty easily. Do we want a 1k or do we want another 8-cost? We choose the 1k instead. We're going to nullify both the Yamato, the 8-cost Yamato. It would have been better to nullify the unblockable, but like probably more efficient, yeah. But what I was kind of considering here is that it kind of doesn't matter grand scheme, because 1, we could redirect, and 2, we have 4 life and we do actually want to take swings. So I don't think we'd be blocking with the teach anyway. So as much of a muchness is my logic there. 4 life, our opponent has 1 life. They're really going to have to do something special here to be able to survive. They trashed a Momo from hand, which probably isn't the move, to be honest, because you'd surely want to play that Momo out, to play out an 8-cost Yam, to play out a blocker, to try and sustain yourself for another turn, would be my logic anyway. But look, I'm not the one playing for my opponent. We have a 5k swing goes into us, so they clearly used the event to be able to play out that Yam, and they have an 8k Yamato on the board now. They swing into the Shiryu, and literally now, this is just a misclick. That was just a misclick. We didn't want the Shiryu to go. We had 1k encounter in hand for that to boot. So yeah, small little error there. But because our opponent prioritized using the unblockable 8-cost rather than the 8-cost that pulls the card back to life, we can go very aggressive into theirs, and that is going to be 10. They take 22. They're going to have to take. They actually did have counter for the 10. They did, and they would have given us 3 2Ks and then had 5 2Ks left. So it would have been 10, 12, and 15. Probably is what I would have swung. Unless I wanted to go a little bit more aggressive, but I think 10, 12, and 15 would have been the line. Maybe 10, 9, 10, 9, 12, and a Shiryu, probably actually. Here anyway, let's talk about this Hanyabal game. I believe it's our second last in the video. Ideally, this is all going well. That bird has left, and we're on to some good matches now. I really like showing Hanyabal in this meta because it's a really cool pick. It ramps hard, so it does have interesting lines. And 2, it's nice to see these off-the-wall picks in these videos. I do try really hard to get meta picks and play against meta decks, though sometimes I think it's nice to see what strange decks people are cooking up. Here, as you know, we're playing against Hanyabal, who has successfully searched and ramped on their first turn. On their second turn, they play at the 5-cost blocker that plays out a search, and they ramp at the end of the turn as well. So our opponent could very well be on 7 Don now, going into their 9 Don turn next. We use a Boa Hancock there, and we trash it for our full elite ability. We have 6-cost in hand, a 6-cost Shiryu, so we are going to play that out. Trash a card from hand and put a Van Augur to the top. That Van Augur will effectively allow us to deny either one of their swings if they did choose to swing with the 5-cost blocker. It kind of makes it harder now, which is good. That's a good thing. We're just going to take that, draw a card from it, and trigger. And they are actually using Linden, which is cool. They are able to put our Burgess to the bottom for life, which in the grand scheme of things does allow us to have another life, which helps my game plan, I guess, but also they have established a big body on board and nullified one of our big bodies as well, so a good turn from them, definitely. Here we have choices on what to put to the top of life, and we choose to put Teach. Putting Teach there allows us to KO their 11k. Now we are going to select the card to trash first, and I believe what we want to do is go 11 and 12 and then take that hit at the end to KO the Hanyabal. They surely wanted to leave it up, so that is a good thing that we were able to take it down. Here we have the option to use the 10 cost, but we don't. But one, like the main consideration here is why we don't use the 10 cost here is because they run Kaido and Linden, and when they use Kaido and Linden, we want to have a 10 cost in hand to be able to freeze that card so that they can't get it off. So that's the exact reason. So we have 2 lines here. We can we have 1 line actually. It's Bow Hancock. Spoiler. That's what we want to be using this turn. That's what we will use. It also allowed us to search and build our trash in case we do have a Burgess to come next turn. Now that Boa Hancock is a really, really aggressive card for this deck, so we're happy to use it. They play out 2 Caldinos, so they freeze both our Teach and our Shiryu. They swing 5 into our life. We're just going to give them that, and we'll use the trigger effect for Van Augur on the Linden, which makes this quite an easy counter. We'll just give them a redirect into one of our life, and they swing 12 then. Which is, yeah, that was kind of good, I guess. We're really keen on getting a 10 cost down, but as I said, we do not want to have them use a Kaido and Linden against us. They get a champion rifle off there, and they're able to bounce. We have to bounce a card back to hand, and we bounce the boa back to hand, play it back out, gain a life, and our opponent takes a life, which is absolutely ideal. Here they have a Sakazuki come down, swing 5 into our life. We'll use a trigger to search, and we'll get the 8 cost event, which actually does nothing for us at this time of the game. Here we have the Van Augur, but we just keep that in hand, and our opponent leaves their Teach up. We'll swing 5 first. There's every chance that they use another champion rifle. If they had a second champion rifle, I presume they'd use that as well. It wouldn't put us in a bad spot actually, like we'd still survive. But what we do here is different to what we would have done, and that is we played the Shiryu to heal, to put a Shiryu to life to draw 2 cards, and we also put down the Burgess. So we're really setting up for the finish next turn, or in the following turns. They play out another new gate, so their board is getting scary as well. We give them 2k and a 1k there to get out of a 7k swing. They'll swing 9 into us, we'll take that, draw 2 with Shiryu, and now we have a target for, or we have the card in trash for the leader ability, and that is the yellow event. Our Burgess is 11k now, which is huge, so we're actually able to use that to redirect the 10k into. Here we're considering, do we want counter, do we want a 10 cost? Basically the question is, can we survive this turn or not? Or can we survive into next turn? We choose to take the counter because we have an 8 cost to heal if it does come to it next turn as well. And we also have 2 Borsalinos if we want to stall the game even further. So we're in a very good spot. Our opponent has so many cards in hand though, but no done up, which is very good for us, because otherwise they'd be able to bounce the Teach back to hand. So we'll just swing 5 first, see what our opponent gives. They're just, I guess, thinking whether they have counter or not. Like, they're going to need a lot. They need 1k, they need 2 2s here, they need 3 2s for the next, and then they need 4 3. No, they have counter for this, and here they can block out of the Burgess. So I actually leave this Burgess standing because they're just going to block anyway, there's no point. And now they only have 4 swings for this turn. We have a block, we have a redirect, and we have a 2 life. So we survive, which is good to know. We also have a little bit of counter, 4k or 5k. Part of the reason we picked up the Vasco shot there, so our hand wouldn't be too bricky here. So we have counter enough for this, which we can use, and we choose to. 2 to 1. Now here it's just going to be our opponent peppering us down. Our Burgess is massive, so we can easily redirect into the Burgess if we'd like to. They swing 9 into the Shiryu, and we give them redirect for that. And they have the choice now to use the Nougat if they'd like to. We trash a full of lead to search out a card in hand. And here it just looks like we're going to go for game. You can see our Burgess is actually after getting bigger than our blocker, which is crazy. So our opponent has 1 done up, okay? And so we really want, like, if they use champion rifle, we will put the teach back into hand and then freeze one of their blockers. So that's why we've attached node on so far. And they do use it here, and we'll bring the teach back to hand. And if they didn't use the blocker there and they had counter, we would have froze the teach, and then with 13k at the end we would have won for game. But we didn't need to. We went 23k instead. Good game to our opponent. Let's talk about this game now, which is our final one, up against Red Blue Lucy, who is still really good in the meta. Definitely has some strong matchups. There are a few decks that run anti-removal, like Teach doesn't. The small Fire Fist can clear out a lot of blue-green Luffy's deck. The Barrier Pistol obviously does great against Buggy, which is kind of a nuisance against the Buggy character, not the Buggy deck. Removal is frustrating against that Buggy deck. I've been playing some matchups against it, and I can't understand why people don't rate it more highly. I really can't. Here our opponent sees an optimal starting, although their hand size is quite low. I'm sure that'll change very soon. They play, and it's a memento into a cav. They draw a barrier pistol, and they swing 6 into us because they trash a barrier pistol to swing 6 rather than attaching a Don, which is good enough, I guess. We could have given them 2k, but we didn't, and that's just how it is. We'll trash a San Juan, and we will use a My Age. Probably pull a 2k would be nice. And now our Burgess is getting up in damage. So our Burgess is 6k now. They did pop off with a barrier pistol from Life Trigger, which is definitely frustrating. What can you do? We play out our other Burgess as well. So this game would have went totally different if we had 2 Burgesses down, because within turn 4 I think they'd be coming up to 7k power, which is incredibly strong. Unfortunately it didn't go like that, so that's okay too. Our hand is looking nice. We've got very good late game potential, and we have the ability to heal next turn with the A cost. Our opponent goes for a weird old angle here. They swing 5 with their Viola, and 7 with their leader. Will redirect and will just rest a Rebecca. They didn't attach it on to their other Rebecca, so they don't have that as a blocker, which I presume means that they have events in hand that they want to use. Here we use the full of lead, and we get a Burgess off. We'll swing 5 into their Rebecca. We'll swing 7 into their Cav. 7 into their Cav means we're asking, do you have a 2k? They've already played out a Viola and a Leo, so their hand is running quite low on them. We don't have very much removal as well, but you will see here that we get a Burgess into life. And there's something I want to call attention to pretty soon. I'll tell you when it happens. You'll probably see it for yourself as well. It's just a point of improvement, really. Her opponent is able to bottom deck another one of her Burgess, which breaks her heart. Swing 7 into our leader, and here we are happy to take this because we want to KO the Cavendish, and we just totally jumped the gun. We should have nullified the Leo ability and then KO'd the Cavendish, but we just double clicked on Cavendish all willy-nilly and gung-ho, and they're able to bottom deck their Leo then in replacement. In all fairness, our opponent should have bottom decked the Viola, but look, that's up to them. And here they attach it onto Rebecca to make it a blocker, and they'll swing 6 into her life, which we will use to rest the Rebecca. That just means we can swing 5 into Rebecca and get rid of it, because it's generally very annoying. And this is actually where our game plan starts. Rather than using the A cost here, we'll actually use a Burgess and a Borsa, because that essentially means we're not going to die next turn. Even if they have a double attack or some nonsense like that, we can either block it or we can redirect it. Here our opponent continues searching and they finally get their Sabo. We'll see what 7 cost event they have to pair with it, whether it's a Fire Fist or not. If it's a Fire Fist on the Teach that sideways, then they can very easily swing into it with Viola. And how would I do it? I'd probably give them a block with the Borsa, and then I would allow it to get KO'd then next turn. They use the Fire Fist on the Burgess, however, which is unique enough. So I presume they just want to deny that value next turn. And they're an AK leader here, and with 2 done up they could use it. Yep, they use a baby Fire Fist there and swing 8 into 6. And we can't really redirect, but we do have enough counter to just get out of that, so we give them 2k and 1k. So if they went on a different way, they would have got that Burgess off. They would have got that Blackbeard off the board, but they wouldn't have had a Burgess. They wouldn't have been able to get Burgess off. I mean, here we'll swing 5 into our opponent. We've nullified their leader ability, so they cannot use events. And we'll swing 8 into our opponent now. They can't use the blocker either because we've nullified that. And we just choose to go super aggressive and swing 8 with the Borsa. I think I just said that. Our opponent takes, so we're happy to swing 10 at them to finish them. We'll see what they do. ... Question mark. We were very confident in surviving next turn as well, because we had a blocker, we had a redirect, and we had a life. There was no way they could have split on to be able to survive. So good game to our opponent. The nullifiability came in so clutch at the end, and they only had 2k counter of actual counter in hand, which was great for us, definitely. So a lot of fun, great deck, great games. Black Yellow Teach is incredibly good. Really enjoyed. I didn't expect to enjoy it so much, to be honest. It's just super consistent with the searching. A lot of different lines that are interesting. It's, I suppose, a hard deck, but I think more than anything it might be an easy deck to play, but a hard deck to play well. I'm happy with the games I got here, but you noticed a lot of the misplays that I made, and hopefully you guys won't make those misplays in the future from watching this. I also did some good things, so if you enjoyed the content, do leave a like. If you didn't like it, then I don't know. Ask me in the next video and I'll come back to you. Please keep on commenting. I have some videos made for you guys specifically because you asked for them in the comments. And just, chatting away is good for me as well. If you want to subscribe, I'd appreciate it. And without saying too much more, thanks for watching the video. Bye now.